strips or pliers, and pliers for a wrench for a hammer, hammers everything else. It just don't seem to make much difference. I sure do like him, but he's hard on equipment.
They want me to renew my license, and I'm not doing that because there's free shit out there. So this is the last broadcast with XSplit. Thanks
Okay.
XSplit for the year subscription, but I'm going to OBS next because OBS is free. So we can go ahead and contact OBS and have them send us some money. Because I'm plugging OBS.
Money. Yep. We'll do XSplit if they want to pay us some money and give us free license.
Yeah, well, I mean, OBS is it's a free software. You don't have to have a license. And it actually works better. I don't know how the camera situation is. This XSplit broadcaster came with the XSplit cam, and that's what I use to run all the backgrounds and shit. But I'll figure it out, man. I can figure stuff out. You want to see something cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me show you something cool that I figured out today. Let me pull this over here where we can see it, and I'll make it bigger. So I'm playing this game called Helldivers. I don't know how many gamers we have that listen to the podcast, but I'm a big gamer. You know that. Everybody that knows me knows that.
Part of the deal.
So I've been playing this game called Helldivers, and I downloaded this software. Let me see. Can you see that? You see what's on my screen there? So if I hold my control button, it should recognize it. Nope. Listening suspended, should recognize. Okay. See how it recognized what I said? So all I do while I'm playing is I hold control and I say Gatling Sentry.
Oh, really?
And see, it says recognize Gatling Sentry. So if I was in Helldivers right now, it would do, there's like a button combination, like an up, down, left, right, you know, kind of bullshit.
Do it.
So some call it cheating. I call it being smart.
Dude,
that's what I call it.
That's just science.
Yeah, it's macros, man. It's coding stuff, you know. So anyway, my buddy Snaley turned me on to that. So we've been kicking some ass on Helldivers because I don't have to sit here and like pull up my little options and do all the uppy, down shit. I just hold my control button and I say Gatling Sentry, and boom, we're protected.
And you're in.
Resupply, reinforce, whatever, man. Helldivers is a great game. We need to get them on as a sponsor. We need to change this to a video game podcast.
We could easily do that. I mean, because that's the thing. We're rebooting. So
yeah, we can call it oil and gas gaming.
I love it.
I think it might be big, man, because there's a lot of field guys that play video games. I mean, we could just start a whole community around oil and gas gaming.
We could definitely integrate that.
Noelle with Life Cycle Power, she's agreed to do a joint stream with me on Twitch as soon as she gets her house remodeled.
That sounds amazing, actually.
She doesn't play video games, but I told her she'll be rich on Twitch, and she doesn't have to know how to play video games. In fact, that's the secret, because there's a bunch of dudes out there that'll be mansplaining to her how to play video games, and she's going to be rich, and I told her all I want is 5%.
Yeah, that girl will be rich.
She's gonna be rich, man. I'm gonna make her a multi-billionaire, and she's not ever gonna have to leave her newly remodeled house because she can just Twitch stream.
Did you buy a house in Houston?
Me?
Her.
Oh, I don't know where her house is. I just know she's remodeling it.
Yeah, I like Noelle a lot, although she calls me sir, which tells me she's establishing a firm boundary.
No, Noelle's great. She's a lot of fun.
But she's a good girl. She's super smart too, and she really gets the job done for her life cycle.
Yeah, for sure. She does a good job. But so I got in a little trouble on my video gaming. So we're doing a reboot. We're just gonna start off here just chatting. So we don't know what we're gonna do this year.
I got a couple little notes, but nothing major. But yeah, like I was just gonna talk a little bit about kind of like, you know, for the audience who may or may not be listening, kind of what we do, and it's a oilfield lifestyle podcast. You know, where we talk to people who are out in the field for hours on end, whether they're working the field, driving in the field. We don't claim to be overly technical, but we do talk a lot about the industry, and we do talk a lot about kind of, the things that are going on out there. And then we always try to ask a few questions, things like, what's your best prank that you've seen? What's the craziest thing you've seen? We might integrate gaming. So it's just like, what's your favorite game?
Yeah.
I added today, as I was thinking, I was just like, I think we should make everybody who comes on this, they need to tell a joke, at least one joke.
One joke.
You did it last time when we were talking to our last guest, and I think it's a great idea. It's just like, just give us a joke. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's hear it. We might hear enough something new.
Nobody would know that because I don't think you've ever actually brought edited and posted that last podcast, have you?
I have not, and they're not real happy about that.
So nobody would know. So anyway, so yeah, we've been
the format too. Is like we're running and gunning. I'm not gonna do any more edits because the edits is what kicks my ass. So we're just gonna
we're just gonna go straight through. I mean, here's what I was thinking. Wow. So, last year we had a specific idea in mind, and that was to get field guys on, talk about field life and whatever. And that's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs to know about that. But it turns out the field guys are hard to convince to come on and talk on camera.
They're surprisingly shy.
Yeah, they're surprisingly shy. That makes them uncomfortable. So, I've been thinking about it too. And I'm like, why does it have to be about anything specific? Why don't we just bring on interesting people and have conversations?
I love it. And that was kind of the genesis tonight. I'm just like, okay, it's been a little bit. We're just with you and I, and we'll see how it goes. And then, and then let's bring in, I mean, Noelle's perfect. She's oil and gas, but she's this unique character who's kind of,
Well, my buddy Ivan Zaragoza, he's going to be our next guest whenever we put him on the schedule. He's hard to pin down because Ivan's a literal, he's a party man. Like, he gets out there and he does stuff. Like, he lives the life, man. Like, he's got it going on. But I mean, Ivan, like, get on here and talk about technical stuff and oilfield stuff. Yeah, that's great. I mean, he's going to be able to do that. But Ivan has a very interesting life outside of the oilfield, and also relative to the oilfield. I mean, whenever we have Ivan, that's going to be an exciting episode. I can't wait to see it myself because the guy's lived a life, and he told me that he would talk about the stuff that happened to him in Mexico. So, Ivan, he said that he'd talk about it. He said he didn't know how comfortable he would be with that, but he'd give it a shot. So he was kidnapped twice by the cartel and survived and escaped, but he saw some shit, man, and it was scary. It's a crazy story, man. He told me while we were in China.
Really?
I went to China with Ivan and a couple of guys from over there next here, and we were out at a bar one night. It was just like four of us and having drinks, and he shared with us his stories, and I was like, dude, that's amazing. Like, I was completely enthralled. Like, it was one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard, and he's just a really cool dude, and I can't wait to get him on. And I mean, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be Darvin McAfee, Adam Brazil level podcast for sure.
Nice.
He's a funny dude, but he's so interesting, man.
Well, for your listeners out there, then next week we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to get a little bit more cadence, and I love this idea. Right? It's just like, let's go with what we can go with, and because the whole premise of this was not to be overly anything in particular, and so we might talk gaming. One night we might talk whatever, and so I'm excited for Ivan, and I'm actually looking forward to that because I've heard some stories about the cartel when you're working, especially down south in El Paso and things like that. And so I'm very curious to see what his tales are all about.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty amazing. And then, we got people like Noelle, who wouldn't really qualify as our field person stipulation that we had put in place, but she's very interesting. And I think everybody would love to hear Noelle's story, like the ins and the outs of how she got into the oil field and how it is towards her as a striking young lady, how that pans out. We're going to have to get Matt Hill back on this year just because I love talking to that guy.
I was just, I thought we'd get him at Frac Show, which I want to talk a little bit about tonight. And when he was there, you were over at your booth and I was at my booth, and Hill came by and he's like, I was like, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we promote our podcast on your podcast? He's like, yeah, motherfucker. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And it was all good. He had it all set up. And then Chris Wright stole my thunder. I'm just like, you bastards.
Yeah, no, HFTC was a good one this year. And I saw Matt there. We did a little segment that he never posted either. He's got some Viscomitis over there. We did a funny little episode, but yeah, Kyle Hosfeld busted in while we were talking, and he talked about actual real stuff while me and Matt were just, fucking around. So I have a hard time being serious when I'm with Matt, man. We have too much fun.
You just can't. And so what we need to do is we might, like, especially, in the weeks to come, Let's bring him back. Maybe we do a live episode with the three of us again. That was the
Yeah.
most fun I've had on this podcast.
Well, Adam was wanting to do a live episode yesterday. Adam was in town for a Thrive conference, and he was wanting to do a live episode. He really enjoyed doing the podcast with us, and I'd have Adam back. He's fun to talk to.
Adam was great. I saw him at ATCE in San Antonio, and he's working Camaro right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm not a good friend. That sounds right.
But what a stud, right? He was great, and
Yeah.
that was the episode where I kind of got onto my. He's like, I could talk about oil and gas, or let's talk about how we're going to raise young men, and then that just went
Yeah.
silent for like an hour.
Yeah, for sure.
But
No, he's
so
great,
did you
man.
guys go out last night?
No, dude, I'm so old, man. Like I went out Tuesday night and drank some drinkies and kept myself not drunk. But I'm too old, man. Like I told you about going to China with those guys, and while we were in China. I was there for 18 days,
Yeah,
and whenever they arrived. I arrived there like 9 days before my customers did,
yeah,
and we went to 7 cities in 7 days. So each day we would be in a particular city in China. Like we were traveling around. Like there's the Chongqing, Chengdu. Oh
yeah.
shit, I'm gonna say it wrong, and they're gonna eat me alive. I think it's Chengdu province. I think that's how you say it. There's some oil and gas activity there, and it's all electric frac. And then we traveled up to Mongolia, up to the Yulin area, and that's where the direct drive turbines are. But so we were started in Yantai. We went
Mhm.
to Chongqing, which is the one of the biggest cities in the world. Like it's the most populated city in the world. I forget what the population is, but it's
All right.
huge. It's several hundreds of millions. I think it's around 330 million, but don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere in that range. Um, so we went there, and then we went to Xi'an, which is Xian. That's like the first where the first emperor had his headquarters, his capital.
Yep.
And we went and saw the terracotta warriors there. But at the same time, we also went and saw some oilfield operations in China. Some EFRAC stuff.
Cool.
And then we traveled to Yulin, and in Yulin we saw we drove from Yulin up into Mongolia and went to some direct drive turbine action up there, and then we went to Beijing, and I'm forgetting that we hit so many places. I don't remember all of them, but
Wow.
we would land, and these guys are animals, dude. We would land, and it would be like we'd been to a location, we'd been to sightseeing places, we'd been to see the terracotta warriors or whatever.
Yep.
So we get up at like 7 in the morning, spend all day like going to see stuff, work and not work, and everything in between. And then we would get on a plane, fly to the next city. We'd land, 10 o'clock at night, and then we would go take a shower and then meet in the lobby and then drink until like 5 in the morning, and then get up at 7 and get on and do it again. And we did that for like 5 days straight.
These all
And
Chinese guys?
huh?
These all Chinese guys?
No, no, no. This was my customers
The only
from
reason I
here.
ask is it's not a race thing. It's like the Chinese guys that I've partied with, like their level of being able to drink, like they'll tell you that our
Well, it's
whiskey.
off the charts. It's
Oh,
off
it's
the charts.
ridiculous. They're like,
Yeah,
oh, Jack Daniels, that's nothing. We need to like
yeah.
China wine or something.
Baijiu, man.
It's
Baijiu.
crazy. You
That's like
try it like as an
moonshine.
American, and you just like it's ridiculous.
But yeah, whenever we got done, man, I had like a 36-hour flight home, and I got home and I just slept for like 3 days. Like I had to recover, man, and I'm too old as assistant. I just can't handle it, man. Like it was I mean, I can handle it if I go there, right? Because I'm a salesman. I got to entertain the customers. So.
That is true.
But it was a great time, and we got so much done, had such a good time, built a really good relationship with the guys I was with, really good, like lifelong friends. It was a trip of a lifetime, man. It was really great.
That's amazing how the relationship when you travel with anybody, but that relationship just ramps up like that much. Like
Oh yeah,
you're just
yeah.
when you travel with them. So
We shared like personal stories and private stories, and also interesting stories, and
I got a
just
little bit,
really, yeah, really good friends. And
just a little
it,
bit
it
of this,
was it
just
was
a
so
little
much fun.
everybody.
So much fun. But yeah, so anyway, so Tuesday I went over to the after parties at Thrive, and so then last night, he was like, "You want to do a podcast?" So I checked with you and you said no, and I was like,
I didn't know you
man.
wanted a podcast. I could have pulled that out. Maybe I'd like.
Oh,
I was kind
yeah.
of covered up. This February's been shit for me. So it's like I thought you just wanted to
But
go out drinking. I'm like, fuck.
well, I was really glad that you did it what too, because then I was like, I'm gonna go to the apartment and play video games or something. I don't know.
What was your excuse to go fuck around in the environment?
Yeah,
Good
I'm
to know.
such a fucking loser, man.
It's
Like,
good to know that we're still
I
friends at
like,
that level where you can still use me as an excuse.
yeah, I like it. I like the apartment, man. I like being able to come back and relax after a long day, man. I like to code. I like to play the games. I'm a nerd, dude. I'm a dork. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that's why we balance each other because I'm amazing and hot and attractive to most women. So
Okay, well, if you meet any of those, send them. I'd like to hear a second opinion on that.
she's upstairs. We'll find out in a minute if she's coming down.
I
She's-
don't have that problem at all.
Tell me
But
about this. Okay, so tell me about this championship ring. It's like you won the NBA like
oh yeah,
tournament or
yeah,
something.
man. I was inducted into the Champions Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's
So
what they actually call it.
that's a lot of gold on that bastard.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's like I can't tell. It's pretty heavy. It feels like it's real gold. No, so last year I was so I've won an award pretty much every year I've been at Jira. They treat me really nice. They like me for some reason. I guess I do a good job for them. And so last year I closed some pretty big deals. Was fortunate, had some good customers that decided to partner with us, and we closed some nice deals last year. Some of the biggest that we've ever done in the U.S. And because of my efforts, the board of directors and the headquarter management team chose to induct me into the JERA Champions Club. And so I got a championship ring, man. I don't have it with me. I wasn't thinking about it. I would have brought it. It's at the office, but
It's pretty
um,
cool, actually. It looks like a damn like a Super Bowl ring. It's
I think I might be able to show it to you. I think I have it in my photos. Let me pull it up here and I can show
video.
it. Uh,
Get a video back. If we're gonna start interviewing like interesting sales people, then we're gonna bring some video back.
so let me see. I got to make sure that I don't
And like
show
I
anything.
was looking at it close. Is that like a wolf on the front of it? It's kind of badass.
Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
That's my
Yeah.
championship ring. Yeah, it's a wolf and it's symbolic of being a wolf, like working in a team, being able to defeat prey that's larger than you are. I mean, it's got a lot of symbology. The Chinese stuff basically says Jera Champions Club, um,
Nice.
Jera Group, and then got my name on it.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then the other side's got, just Jera. It says champion, says the year I was inducted into the club. So it's really pretty cool, man. I really appreciated it. They did a big presentation to do the award like in China in Yantai at the headquarters. They put me up on a big like it was in some sort of stadium and I was up on the big screen there, a picture of me getting my ring and pretty cool, man. I appreciate it. It's a nice gesture. I'm not really into uh, pinky rings or rings in general. I have one ring that I've ever worn. That's my wedding ring, but I tried it on because my wife wanted to see how big it was on my hand and whatever, so I put it on for her, gave her a little look see at that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I
Nice.
told her I'm not she's like it's very Tony Soprano, and I said yeah, and I'm not very Tony Soprano.
Does
So
it go on your pinky? It's that size.
yeah, actually, hold on, I think I got a picture of that too. Let
Oh,
me
come on,
find it.
let's see that pinky ring.
Yeah, let's oh, it hasn't uploaded. It's on my phone still. I'd have to sync it or whatever. Let's see if we
Good for
can do
you.
it this
In
way.
all seriousness, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate
You
it.
really you worked hard for them. I was telling my wife at dinner that I'm like, Lloyd's great because he's the only guy I know who can keep shit real and just be totally
Can't see
honest and
that.
brutal, and they love him. They absolutely love him. And
Yeah.
he's just like the most brutal guy you've ever met with that company. And it's like just the opposite. I go in and I'm nice. They're like, "Nah, fuck you. You're out." Lloyd, we like you. You're all right. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's doing business here is different, and so it's a cultural thing. And so the reason I've been able to contribute to the company is just to get them to understand the American oilfield mindset. Just it's just different, man. It's just different. At headquarters, mostly they're working with states, government agencies, and people that have unlimited checkbooks. It's not as entrepreneurial as it is in the United States, and that's the thing. And they've really, like, I started in 2018. I feel like I've made a lot of impact on the American operations of the company. And the mindset has changed. You can see it in the way we do business now. We're being more flexible in the offers that we do, the deals that we do. It's no longer like, here's what we want and this is it. Much more flexible now, and I appreciate that they do that, and it's helped our business tremendously.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's good news. They're a good company, and it's been fun to kind of watch that progression over the years. So
yeah, they are a good company, and they keep me gainfully employed. So even during the hard times, they've kept me gainfully employed. So I have a lot of good things to say about them. They've been very good to me.
Well, that's good. That's good. So tell me about frac show. You guys had a good frac show?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'm gonna go walk out on a limb here, like way out on a limb, and say we had the best booth at the show.
No, you didn't. You didn't have a magician like we did.
Hey, I'm not gonna badmouth the magician.
Hey, I'm gonna plug Ben Jackson for a little bit. If you're in Houston, Texas, and you want to see a really great non-overly cheesy, I mean, all the magicians are a little bit. But
okay, let's slow down. Let's pump the brakes
before you start dogging me about my booth. Let's talk about Ben. So I'm going to plug Ben Jackson. He plays the Four Seasons down here in Houston almost every month. It's definitely worth it. It's like 60.
Oh,
go do it.
Incredible.
Go see it. I'll give him.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, Ben Jackson's great.
We had him at our wedding reception.
Oh, really?
Which is interesting because we had him at our wedding reception. He was like $500, and then I called him back when pre-turned 40. My wife pre-turned 40, and all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, I don't know if you can afford me now." But he's that good.
Yeah, he's good.
Here's a little bit of trivia about Ben Jackson. So the movie Sin City 2, there's a scene where Gambit is dealing the cards. He's like,
oh yeah.
Those are Ben Jackson's hands.
That's awesome.
So you got that. Cool. I can't remember the actor who plays Gambit, but those are Ben Jackson's hands. I was just like, dude, that's cool. That's
pretty cool.
To be able to do that. So, but
I mean, look, Ben Jackson's amazing. I'm not a fan of the advertising magic.
Yeah, we paid extra for it too.
Yeah, you should have not have done that.
Could have just stuck with the magic.
Yeah, the magic's amazing and it draws people over. But whenever he's like, look at this, and he's like tapping, like doing the cards, and he's like, you could find a mystery at Sun.
He did this bit where, like, I was sitting there and I'm filming him, and he's like, so he had this one bit where you had to choose the dice, right? And he's like, just say yes to everything. Just say, he's like, is it a 1? Is it a 2? And he's like, does Omniprop, stay suspended in fluid? And then he's like, yes. And he's like, that's a sale right there, Jeremy. That's a sale. It was like, and Lloyd comes over and he's like, dude. It wasn't even like an explanation. It was just like, dude, just
stop. Don't do that. It makes everybody uncomfortable. No, listen, it is nothing against Ben at all, man. Like it's good. And I mean, some people may be into that. It was cheesy for me, man. Too cheesy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's like me standing up and trying to do jokes and like trying to sell stuff while I'm doing jokes, huh?
Well, you should do that. You should. We need to tee that up on the podcast where you just kind of like, well, I'll tell you the story about. And Sarah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know how you dovetail those.
Yeah, I don't either. But actually, I have a lot of ways, but it probably wouldn't be appropriate. Anyway, so yeah. So new year, new group. We're gonna start pumping out podcasts. I don't know. This one's going really fantastic so far. I bet we've got picked up at least like 4. We'll pick up at least 2 people that'll maybe watch 5 minutes of this and shut it off.
Yeah. Before they get bored and just totally like.
It's all about the intro clicks, man. They click it one time. That's all we need.
Oh yeah, we'll bring Noel on and our numbers will go through the roof.
So, I don't know if I'll tell that story. Never mind. I'm not going to tell that story. I'm gonna take Rodney Carrington's advice, and I don't think I'd have told that one. I'm not gonna tell that one.
Tell me offline. Tell me offline. Well, I thought
No,
it was good. Did you go to any parties? I went to the Liberty Party. That was to kind
I
of
went
kick
to the
it
Pro Petro party. Yeah,
off.
at
Okay.
Big Eo's. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a good party. There was a lot. The Big Eo's it's popping over there during Thrive, man.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a lot
you
of
were at
people hanging out
Thrive. So
there.
tell me about Thrive. So
I
Noel and
wasn't at Thrive. I was after at the
went,
after
and I
party.
kind of set them up for that. We did some posts for them.
Hmm.
But it's kind of Thrive's one of these new ones on the scene by Daniel Energy Partners, which
Yeah,
Daniel, if you're out there and you want some extra exposure, hey, we're here. So we
yeah.
have to
We
make some
will
stuff.
introduce you to at least 15 people that have already heard of you.
Exactly. But the parties were good. I mean, here's the interesting
Yeah,
trend.
yeah.
There's an interesting trend going on right now where it used to be like we're SPE, we do the frac show, we do a technical conference, and then we all get drunk in the bar. And what Thrive and Daniel has seemed to do is like they've successfully kind of merged this kind of kick-ass networking, good food, good entertainment. They throw it in Minute Maid Park, and or was it Minute Maid Park? It was NRG. No, it was Minute Maid Park.
This is a minute.
But anyway, but they've managed to like make it fun and technical at the same time. And
Thrive is the biggest. I don't. I'm not ashamed to say this. Like it's the best event that's going on right now.
why do you say
Um,
that? What's the difference? I mean, do you feel like it's like
all the heavy hitters, all the majors, all the CEOs, all the important decision makers are attending Thrive, man. That's the bottom line. And it's very exclusive. Like they don't let just anybody in there, man.
right, right?
Like yeah, I mean it's and that's the key, I think, is keeping it very tuned in to exactly what they're trying to accomplish, and they've accomplished that. They've done that. They have that barbecue out in Midland, same thing, man.
What are they trying
This
to accomplish? Tell me a little bit about that.
I don't know. I think they're just trying to accomplish getting together the decision makers, like
I
getting
mean,
them
I mean that's
together,
that. I mean, they've done a good job at that.
networking. It's
Yeah.
it's all about networking. It's definitely a good one.
So what's to become of the technical content? That's my question. Is like is technical content just doomed, or we're just gonna just pump shit sand and just be done with it and
I
not
think
worry about
that I think that that's probably true. I think that everybody. I mean, I'm old.
I mean, the
Me,
economics are okay, I guess.
yes. I don't know. I mean, they could be better, but I just it's one of those deals where you start to realize you're getting old, man. Like things don't make sense anymore. Like the whole idea of simulfrac, like
Yeah.
we can save money because we're more efficient. Okay, but you're only fracking one well, man.
Hmm.
Like you don't like, oh no, we're fracking two wells at the same time, are you? What if one of them doesn't have enough rate and it's screened off? You wouldn't even know. How are you gonna even know?
I have some geomechanics folks that would maybe have some things to say about that.
Well, they can say whatever they want, but all I can tell you is it's going to go the path of least resistance. And if one of your well bores is less resistant than the other, that's where all your fracs going.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what they would say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You're exactly right. I think that's
I don't get it. And so they're like, oh well, we can do two. Let's do three. Let's do four. We got these e pumps. We can do 250 barrels a minute. We can frack fucking four wells at a time. No, you can't, but you can try. But
well. Here's the thing that I think is that we're seeing this kind of conflagration of this divide between this kind of like new generation of frac engineers and the old guard, right? And the old guard's pissed off, right? You walk around frac show and just talk to any of the old companies, and they're just like, they're grouchy. They're always grouchy.
mhm.
But the reality of it is like, are we just branding new innovations and just calling them good? And it's just if we do enough advertising and branding, that's going to be good. Or are we actually responsibly producing this resource? And that's a topic that I talk about with a lot of my clients is like, yeah, that's fine. You can pump whatever you want down hole and you're going to get good initial production and you're going to get good rate of return for a minute, but you're still leaving a ton of oil down in the ground that you're going to have to either go back or sometimes you can't even go back. The reservoir is done.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, it's the so I love capitalism. Capitalism. I love democracy. I love fucking freedom and liberty and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But the problem with capitalism is it's all about the flip, man. When the oil field became about the flip, we fucked ourselves. Like we don't care. We're not planning for the long term anymore. Nobody's planning beyond 5 years, man. Everybody's trying to get that IP and flip it. That's what it's all about. And so if you pump a 200 barrels a minute and you put away, a couple million pounds of sand and several million barrels of water, and you turn that well on and it flows back, yeah, some bitch is gonna come on the gangbusters because you've made a big balloon down there that you're gonna unload. And
Yep.
so you get that IP,
Yep.
but do you get the long-term production whenever you're pumping, sand that you just dug out of the ground like 2 feet away? Probably not, because it's going to crush, it's going to create fines, it's going to destroy the reservoir, and you're not going to get your long-term production. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I was taught. That's why we used to use Ottawa sand. You know,
Yep.
that's why we used to care about rock mechanics. That's why we used to care about clays. You know, protect the clays, keep the clays from swelling. And I mean, shell's different, right? It's a different play for sure.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
but the fact of the matter is, if you crush sand, it creates fines, and fines plug production. That's the bottom line. And after about 2 or 3 years, whenever you put all these fines in there, it mineralizes and it becomes part of the formation. So in 6 years, you haven't done anything. Everything that you put there is now part of the formation. It's just rock. It's
But all those
refillable.
engineers have moved on to the next company and they don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
So I mean, that's
And whoever bought that well from those amazing IPs is trying to figure out what the fuck they're going to do with their decline curves.
this is why I love my independents, because they end up with all those fucking wells and they have to figure out, oh, then
Yeah,
all of a sudden we're talking about like, EOR and unconventionals. It's like, well, you know, I've talked to some pretty smart people who are just like, if you're talking about refracts, then you probably didn't frack that well for right in the first place. That
that's
seems to be
right. But refracts are going to be like from now until like in the next few years. I mean, refracts are going to be the play, right? All the formations that we went around and put shit sand in and they're fucked up now. You can refrac them, and hopefully they do it right when they refrac it. But if you just come back and pump, 200 barrels a minute and put away, some shit sand, you're going to end up with the same thing again. It's a cycle. Anyway,
for
I could
the
be wrong. That's my
for the
theory.
for the
My
three
theory. I'm
engineers that
sticking
are
to it.
listening to this, this is for you. But no, it's true. No, it's absolutely true, and that's the frustration with it's funny because in my opinion, frac show, and it's kind of like we just went through frac show. I didn't do Thrive, so frac show is like close to my mind right now. But that's the thing is there's this. I would say by all rights, with all the controversy the frac has had over the years, it's really kind of the money shot of the oil field right now. It's like, yeah, you can drill and you can do this and you can do that, but if you get that completion right and you get that frac right, it can make all the difference in the world. And I think that's why we see that frac show in the Woodlands become such a massive, popular show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
For me, HFTC up until Thrive got really rolling. HFTC was always the show that I felt like you had to attend. Like that was the best show, and it still is a really good show. And there's lots of good technical stuff at the HFTC. But since you got me on my soapbox here,
yeah,
and you were saying how did all this happen? Well, I have a theory on that too, and this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, but
all right.
when I was a completions manager and was trying to frack the Woodford Shale, we had 50 to 75 feet of pay, and my boss kept coming to me wanting me to pump 100 barrels a minute, and I was like, dude, what? Why do you want to pump 100 barrels a minute?
Yeah,
Well, the reason why is because that's what our investors wanted us to do, was pump 100 barrels a minute. And why did they want to do that? Because that's what they were doing in the Barnett Shale. And I'm like, we're not in the Barnett Shale. This is the Woodford Shale. They have 150 feet of pay down there. We
yeah,
have 50 to 75 feet of pay. Rate. This is frac 101, and
yeah.
I don't think anybody takes frac 101 anymore. Rate
I've been
equals
through
height.
it.
Rate equals height. That's not a rule of thumb. That's not a wives' tale. That's a physical physics fact. Rate equals height. So if you're pumping in a 150-foot reservoir at 100 barrels a minute, maybe that's what you need. If you're in a 50-foot reservoir pumping 100 barrels a minute, you're not fracking your reservoir. You're fracking everything around it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if the Woodford's the pay and you're drilling wells in the Woodford, then frack the fucking Woodford, man. Don't frack everything above and below it. And that was my argument. And I was as openly argumentative about that as I am on everything that I believe in. And I convinced them to well, kind of I tricked them into letting me pump it the way I wanted to, and we had much better wells at 40 barrels a minute. And I said, you're talking about saving money with efficiency. I'm talking about saving money with horsepower.
Absolutely.
40 barrels a minute don't cost near as much as a 100 barrel a minute job. Takes a little bit longer, sure, but you've got half the equipment, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that's my soapbox. So,
I love that so
but
much because that's, I mean, as you know, it's just like, I think about frack all the time just because of the situation I'm in with between my business and my family and stuff. It's like we talk about it all the time, and this is the conversation that we have. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing is a lot of these older engineers are like, well, I don't know what to do. There's a few that are hanging on, but a lot of them are just kind of like, nobody, because we used to care about geomechanics. We used to
yeah,
care about
our opinions aren't popular.
we used to care about Sam. And it's just like I just feel like investors, in my opinion, in the long run, one of the strategies that we've used with one of my clients, who don't sponsor us yet, so I can't quite recognize them yet. But one of the things that we started talking about is like, instead of thinking about cost per well, which is what largely everybody thinks about, they get all freaked out about it. Let's talk about cost per barrel of oil produced over the life of the well. And if you could reduce that cost per barrel by 30%, doesn't it seems like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Now, it might cost you another $1 million on that $9 million well, but if your cost per barrel is 30% less at the end of it, it seems to make sense, but it doesn't get that initial return, like we'd like. So
Yeah, it doesn't get the IP's not sexy, right? I mean, like, even whenever you're flowing back, like everybody, like, anyway,
come on in, come on in.
there's going to be a lot of people that get pissed off.
No,
But
I was going to ask
what?
my resident frac engineer if rate
Yeah,
equals height. Does rate equal height? She left. She left for she'll be back.
yeah. Rate equals height. Viscosity equals
We might
width.
have a guest after all. We might have a frac engineer guest tonight.
There you go. So, but I don't remember what I had something really poignant and fucking amazing to say, and I forgot what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember. What was I talking about?
Uh,
Rewind the tape.
And him of rate equals height.
no, he wasn't asking me. He was telling me that rate equals height. It's like,
Yeah, it's not a
doesn't go and
question.
ask for anything. He just was just telling me that this is the way it is.
Rate equals height. Viscosity equals width. Volume equals length, right?
Let's put away all the sand we can put away. Let's just put it
So
back.
anyway, so how did it happen? Well, it happened because the guys in the Barnett Shale were pumping high rates and getting high IP. Oh, it was the IPs. That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, the IP. Yeah.
So everybody, like, I'm not going to say everybody. A lot of people out there, the build and flip companies, whenever they open their well up, they open that son bitch up wide open, man, wide open, so they can get that IP rate, man, and they
You're damn
report
right.
their IPs.
Yeah.
They don't report their 60-day, decline. They report their IP. Like, you'll see press releases all over the place with IPs, and it's because they have the well wide ass open.
Like a
And
fucking barn burner.
as much as big, they'll open that choke fully up, man, just so they can get that IP. And all they're really doing is flowing everything they just did back into the wellbore. And so then you get all the sand back to the sand busters, all the frack that you just spent millions of dollars putting in the ground, you flow right back to your fucking flowback tanks. And why? So that you can make that IP press release. And that's not the right way to do it, man. You got to control your flowback. Fuck the IP, keep the sand in the formation, and make a better frack job.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you gonna do? That's why I don't do it anymore. That's why I sell equipment now. Because you want 100 barrels a minute, I'll give you some fucking pumps that'll give you 100 barrels a minute. I'll sell them to you all day. I think you need to pump 400 barrels a minute, at least 400 barrels a minute, and I'll provide you with all the power and frac pumps you need to do so.
So what's the electric market like? Is that this e-frac? Is it taking off? I'm hearing some things about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, EFRAC. I mean, here's the problem right now, right? I mean, gas prices in the shitter, man. Gas
Right.
price is no good. Like $1.06. It's gonna be this year's gonna be a bloodbath. It's gonna be a bloodbath this year. There's gonna be a lot of layoffs. There's gonna be a lot of idled equipment because you can't support our oil and gas market with $1.60 gas. You just can't, because majority of our wells make gas, not oil. You're going to see the Permian continue to be strong because oil prices are good. But
What's the sweet? What's the sweet spot for gas? I ask this about once a year. Like, is it like? I mean, it depends if you're an
I
or a bigger.
honestly, I've not been on the operations side since like 2016, so it changes. But I can tell you, in 2016, 275 was break even.
Okay, all right.
So for us, in the operations I was doing, we had to have $2.75 to break even. So at $1.60, I mean, you have to make a whole lot of gas in order for it to be even break even, man. You need to be, it's like $3, 3.25. That's a good spot where everybody can continue to grow.
Yep.
You drop below $3, it starts to get tough. You drop below $2, and you can't. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I remember some of that coal bed methane in southeast Kansas was they gave away all of it because you couldn't make enough money on it, and it was just like if you could just take this on as your liability instead of ours, we'll just give it to you.
Well, see, and it's so
I've
sad
seen deals done like
because
that.
I'm a huge fan of coal bed methane because coal bed methane, a lot of people don't know this, but it actually it doesn't have a decline rate. It's got a decline. It's got an incline rate.
Really?
So as you dewater coal bed methane, as you dewater it, you expose more of the surface area of the rock in order to produce gas because it's a gas generator. Like it generates gas. That's where it's source rock, right?
Yeah.
So coal will actually start to produce methane as you dewater it. So as you get the water drawn down in the formation, it makes more and more gas. And so you don't have decline rates on coal bed methane. You have incline. It's like a hyperbolic incline rate, and it'll level off and it'll stay there. Basically, I mean, it won't stay there forever. That's a long time, but it'll stay there 20, 30 years. It won't decline at all.
Long enough for
And
a
so,
career.
but the problem is you're talking about it levels off at like 300, 375. It doesn't level off at 1.8 million or 2 million or whatever.
Right.
So it's just not sexy. And at $1.60 gas, it's not sexy at all.
Right. That makes sense.
But it's good gas. Like if Lloyd was in charge of the world, right? If I ruled the world,
All right, Lloyd, in charge of the world. Let's do
in
it.
charge of the world, every coal bed methane, we wouldn't extract coal anymore. We would cover it and we would turn it into coal bed methane wells. And at the surface
Actually
is where we
smart.
would have our power generation. And so at every coal bed plant, you would have multiple power generators that run off coal bed methane. And that's where all of our power would come from. It wouldn't come from giant coal burning furnaces, steam turbines. It wouldn't come from anything but coal bed methane because it's sustainable. Like because of what I just said, it has an incline rate. You'd have consistent production, you'd have consistent power generation into the future. And so that's if I ran for president, that's my goal. Coal bed
Coal
methane
bed methane.
power.
It's coal
That's
bed
it.
methane power.
Clean coal because you don't have all the particulates because you're just burning the methane. You're not burning the actual coal itself. So you reduce all the particulates. Very extremely clean.
You're getting rid of that. You're getting rid of that nasty coal that everybody hates so much in the
Yeah.
prep.
And you let it produce for you forever instead of burning it up in one shot.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. And
That's
I'm not
right.
just agreeing with you. That actually kind of makes sense.
I'm not in charge of anything.
Ah,
If I were, I'd tell you what else I'd do. I'd start sending bills to Mexico for people crossing the border. I'd just send them a bill.
and now the show just got political. So
How would it not? And I'm not saying that all the illegal immigrants are Mexican at all. I'm just saying if we bill Mexico for allowing them to cross through the country and enter the border there, they would shut it down for us.
wrap it up pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
They do it for us.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I did this math a while ago, but if you look at the amount of aid that we pay to Mexico, it's in the billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars of aid that we give to Mexico. So we say, hey, you guys, we're going to start charging you, $100 per immigrant that crosses the border. And they're like, yeah, fuck you. We're not going to pay that. We say, yeah, that's cool. We'll just take it out of your aid money. It's a credit. We're going to debit your credit. And then all of a sudden they would have their entire military stationed at the border turning people around, man. We wouldn't have to do anything. Don't need a wall.
This is why we have the podcast, right? We're figuring things out.
Yeah, solving the world's
Solving
problems.
problems.
You know how to end the war in Ukraine? I can tell you how to do that. Stop sending fucking money to Ukraine. It's fucking easy, man. Look at that. We just solved the war in Ukraine, war between Ukraine and Russia. Stop sending fucking money, man.
My theory was I told my wife, I was like, we need to adopt some of these Ukrainian girls that are super hot and just bring them in, take care of them, refugees. We'll do it.
Okay. All
no
right.
She didn't go for it.
I don't think that's going to solve the problem.
Your plan is a little bit more successful than my plan.
Yeah. Money outweighs your plan every time.
Yeah, probably. That's true.
In fact, money is what your plan revolves around when it's all to the cut to the bone.
Yeah, kind of does. That's true.
Anyway, I don't know. We haven't done anything. So, welcome back to Oil and Gas Lighting.
Yeah, well, oil and gas lighting. We've been around for a year, actually.
Yeah,
You may
all heard
not
of us.
know it, but turns
Hey,
out,
I started watching a TV show about a podcast.
yeah.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Only Murders in the Building on Hulu?
No, I might
It's
check it out.
fantastic. It's a really good show. It's fantastic. It's about a true crime podcast. It's Martin Short and Steve Martin and Selena Gomez.
Really
It's fantastic. It's really good.
nice, nice, very
That was
cool.
a tangent.
We're back. We're back, and so I think this is great because it's just there's a lot of stuff we can cover. I think we've kind of retooled the format. We're just kind of figuring out our voice a little bit, and but now it's time, right? We got there's some great podcasts out there in the oil and gas business, but they're either talking about Bitcoin or they're talking overly technical or just news. And I like this format of just let's just talk about whatever
Yeah,
and
whatever.
to see where it goes. Ask a few questions. I still think the questions hold, right? It's like, and maybe it's not the craziest thing you've seen in the oil field. What's the craziest thing you've seen in your life?
Yeah, there you go.
What's the craziest prank you've seen? And just entertainment. And I'm not claiming to be overly entertaining, but I think with the right guests, we do a nice job.
I think so. I mean, I think we've put out some good stuff last year. I think we'll put out some good stuff this year. We got some. I mean, if we get those people on that we were talking about earlier in the show, those are going to be good episodes, man. Those are going to be entertaining. People are going to want to watch that for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, okay,
Right.
so let's put it to the test. So give me a joke. What's your latest joke?
Hmm.
Now think about it a little bit. And it
I,
cannot
no,
be,
I actually,
it cannot be the fryer joke, which okay, so truth be told, okay, I'm gonna confess a little something to you. I'm gonna confess a little something to you. So if you don't know the air fryer joke, let's just tell it. Just, Lloyd, tell us the air fryer joke, and then we'll talk
it's
about
not a joke, man. Like I got
know
an
it.
air
Like,
fryer
you
and it
actually-
sucks. It sucks. You can't ever get the grease hot.
it. So I'm laughing now, not because I think that joke is funny, because I think it's terrible, but I will tell you, I'm sitting with my father-in-law over Christmas, and I said, and he asked me because he's kind of curious about, who the hell's married to his daughter. And he's like, so what's the deal with this podcast? And I was like, tell him a little bit about it. And I said, yeah, my co-host has this joke about this air fryer, and he gets really frustrated because he puts the oil in it and just doesn't get the grease hot. And I will tell you that 75-year-old man cracked up in a way that I've never heard him crack up.
I'm telling you, it's a good joke,
He
man.
got it. He got it like that. He like knew exactly what you were talking about.
Because he's a smart man. He's a fucking doctor. He's a
That's it. That's
PhD.
it. That's the PhD. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be smart to get that joke.
Care
Man.
about it. It's like we have fun with it. I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we're back. We'll see.
Oh, we'll see. I need to just basically get you on a schedule. It's been
Yeah.
a busy year. I mean, you've been selling a lot of
Oh,
shit.
dude, yeah. Last year was so busy. Like we started out strong, but I mean, the last two, like from July last year until December, man, it was nuts. And it's calmed down a little bit right now.
Well,
I got to tell you some words of wisdom
yes, tell me.
that I share. So when I won the award, I had to do not a speech, but they asked me a question that they wanted me to answer for the big, presentation. And the question they asked me was, why was the 90-day sprint important? Because, at the end of the year, JERA has a 90-day sprint and everybody focuses in to try to close contracts in the last 90 days of the year.
Okay.
And so I don't like that question. I don't like that philosophy. And so I had some answers that I wanted to give that weren't politically correct, and I decided to tone it down a little bit since I was going to be speaking to the entire company in the presentation, So
Right.
what I said, and they broadcast it. I said, the 90-day sprint was important because we had to wrap up all the work that we had done throughout the year. But what I would like to tell everyone is don't wait till the last 90 days to sprint. Let's sprint from the beginning of the year till the end, and we'll accomplish a lot more.
Nice.
Yeah. So that, I mean, and that's the reality of it, man. Like that's one of the things that's tough is that we walk until we get
All
to
the
the
time.
deadline, you know,
Yep.
and set your own deadline. Like I get so frustrated whenever there's a deadline that's set like 3 months out, and we don't do anything till 2 weeks ahead of time. Like when we don't do anything until the deadline. There's so many places that do that. It's not just us; it's all over the place,
But
and I
especially
hate that.
Americans are notorious for that. It's like if I've got 8 weeks to do something, then probably about a week before that 8 weeks is up. That's when I'm most active.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I got 8 weeks. I'll go hang out. Let's go to
And
Chili's.
that's not how I do things. Like if I have a task, I accomplish the task. Like I execute. I'm not a multitasker,
Yeah.
but if I have a single task, that task is accomplished before I do the next thing. And that's how I do everything that I do. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like it could be something where I can't even deliver for a year, but I'm going to be having that delivery
All right, folks.
confirmed tomorrow or as soon as possible. And then everything between now and then is going to be ensuring that it's hit. Like it's not trying to close the deal. It's trying to ensure that we execute on the deal that's already been closed.
And this is why he's got the championship ring. This is it. This is it. And
Yeah.
all seriousness, it's actually it's a really good thought. It's just like I've been doing a lot of research on different things about business as I grow my business. And there's this idea about this Sisyphus guy, right? There's like pushing the rock up the hill. And the
Mhm.
whole idea is that you're always pushing the rock up the hill. And it
Yeah.
never ends. It never ends.
Right.
Quit trying to think it's gonna end. Just accept it and then work hard to keep it going and keep it going and keep it going until you die.
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
and that's what we have
and
to look forward to, right? It's like
and
it's true,
also
but it's very true.
look to your left and your right and grab those people standing beside you and get them to help you push the rock. That way, because when you get to the top of the hill, what you discover is that you couldn't see the rest of the mountain, right? And so then you start up the next side of the mountain, but don't push it by yourself. That's something that I used to have trouble with, was learning how to share the burden with my coworkers or my friends or whatever. And as you get older and wiser, you realize that you can't do this stuff by yourself. You have to have friends, you have to have family, and you have to have coworkers that you can trust,
Yep.
and you have to get everybody involved with pushing that rock up the hill.
That's good advice. That's why I have you.
Yeah,
Bail me out of this
I'm
city
pushing this
podcast.
rock. Right. We actually hit the top tonight, and
we're
we found the backside of the hill.
I'm starting to see some of the view from this mountain here. But
Yeah.
all seriousness, you're right, and it's something that is hard to deal with because we all, especially in American culture too, is like we all are, I joke a little bit because I like to wear my cowboy hat, but it's kind of the cowboy way. It's just like we're loners. We just do what we do what we do. Let's just do it. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just get it done. But you're right. One of the things I've learned as I've grown a little bit older as well is that exact same thing. It's just like shit. It's not only that I need people, but it's like I just it's a lot to do by yourself, right?
Yeah. Just sharing the burden, man. Like I've had some friends in recent history that have had bouts with depression and whatnot, and like they try to bottle that stuff up, and it's like just share the burden, share it, because your friends will help you with it.
Well, this is why I bitch about my wife with you all the time.
I know, and I mean I understand too, because she's a maniac.
Smart fucking maniac. Yeah, that's right.
Hey! He got a real long reach in the derrick when he leans. He been all around the world on the big old rigs with the welders and the trucks on the black gold rush and the diesel burning cat motors growling in the mud. You better hire him on. He's the roughest neck around. He got the power in his hand to pull the dragons from the ground. Yeah.